Awesome, amazing day, I know. And thank you, everyone. And boy, this is an amazing event, and everyone's sharing such great energy. And I'm just a standard American doctor, SAD. You've heard of that. But in fact, I'm learning to realize that I am a human Ferrari doctor. And what I've learned is that our cars are things, and a Ferrari is often held higher than we treat ourselves. There can be nothing more valuable than you, more expensive, irreplaceable, and beautiful and amazing. But we have learned or been taught to treat ourselves like Yugos. And most of you may not know what a Yugo is, but it's an Italian-designed automobile, like a Fiat and a Ferrari, which was built with lower standards of workmanship and materials. The amazing part is that the DNA, like you and I, is almost identical. The plans, you know, by the Creator, right? Because we know what we're doing, right? We've been taught to race around and get on the racetrack. And anyone have a racetrack Ferrari? Would you allow your neighbor, your friends to use your Ferrari in the racetrack 5 days a week and expect it to last longer? Or would you treat it and put any fuel in it and never change the oil or never maintain it properly? What I've learned after years of being a Western-trained physician and learning about disease and how to write a prescription and hand out a pill or surgeries or potions, I've learned that we're taking the Ferrari and treating it like a Yugo. And we're wondering why. And after years of practicing Western medicine and then getting a little bit of an inkling of Eastern medicine, I had patients that I couldn't help get pregnant as a fertility specialist. And I was wondering, what happened? How'd you do that? Many of them were seeking yoga, meditation, acupuncture, and even prayer. But then I began to learn about something called the paleo diet. And I'm like, what is that? Because everyone says diet doesn't matter. Can it matter what you put in your Ferrari and how you race around the Ferrari? It didn't make sense to me because we were all taught that diet didn't matter. My beautiful sister Marie Ann had diabetes since she was age 4. She died at 52. Heart disease, blindness, and I can tell you every disease that most everyone is going to get one day or another. Hypertension, diabetes, cancer, stroke, bowel disorders. And I'm trying to figure out now, it must be our genetics, right? But wait a minute, we all have the same genetics. Because if I put every cell of your body under a microscope, we would not look different. Although we're told we're different types and we look different on the outside, it didn't make sense to me as a Western-trained scientist. I began to read and study about food because no medical student knows anything about food because we doctors aren't trained about food. It seems crazy, right? Food doesn't matter. We could just eat about everything and anything. Well, that is true. Our body can eat about everything and anything, and we sort of try to. And we think we can do about everything and anything. And so we get our bodies on the racetrack, right? And we race around and run around, bikes and tracks and running because exercise is really good for us, right? That's what we're told. But the story still didn't make sense, and I began to understand food until I read a book that said a particular food was not required. And I didn't believe it. Carbohydrates have zero requirements in the human body. Did you know that? I didn't. Medical students don't know that. Nutritionists don't know that. And doctors don't know that. Human beings require one thing for energy. And if you don't have it, you will die. And that's called fat. Fat is the maligned fuel for the human body. But if you don't have it, you're dead. And it didn't make sense to a Western-trained doctor, and we're all told we need lots of really good carbs and abundance of carbohydrates. The Ferrari needs the highest octane fuel. You've never seen a lion eat fruits, fiber, or vegetables. But how can those be carbohydrates? They're healthy for us. We're all recommended based on this great pyramid or the My Plate how to consume all these healthy foods which have such variety and spice of life. Married out there, have boyfriends and girlfriends on the side? It sounds dangerous. And what I'm learning about food is variety is dangerous. And there are really only 5 things that cause every one of our diseases. Oh, almost 100 years ago, Otto Warburg, a Nobel Prize winner in biology and metabolism, figured out there was one thing that cancer requires, and it actually turns out to be the cause of cancer. It's glucose. What none of us know is that glucose is made in our body and never required to be eaten. Didn't know that. And remember that lettuce is full on glucose because every plant material that we consume is sugar. It's a complex carb that we're told is healthy for us. And you don't need to believe me because I didn't believe this story. But when I began to share the paleo and the ketogenic diet, and I'll say more of that in a moment, and seeing my patients no longer need insulin, hypertensive meds, high cholesterol meds, and I was never taught that I can have a patient who will no longer need these medications. It didn't make sense. Remember, how can I cure disease by simply changing what you eat? It didn't make sense. Now, I know that we really admire lions and Ferraris because they're the symbols of strength in this world. Not pigs and cows. We've been trained to treat ourselves like Yugos and pigs. Lots of fruits, fiber, and vegetables, and the slop that we don't finish. And pigs eat grass and grains, by the way, and fruits and vegetables. Not lions and Ferraris. Now, the interesting part about pigs or herbivores is they eat all day. 3 to 5 meals a day. What are we recommended to eat? 3 to 5 meals a day. And breakfast is the best meal of the day, right? Well, when we put all of this into the beer bucket, and it doesn't sound right, does it? But what most of us don't know is, how do you make beer and wine? It's a carb with bacteria and yeast in a dark place, a little bit of warmth. And you know, most of the carbs come with all the bacteria and yeast they need. I don't know if you heard about the recent lettuce recall, but you've never seen a ribeye steak recalled because lettuce is contaminated with bacteria and yeast all day long. It's a leading cause of disease, and you and I don't even know it. I call it nature's toilet paper. And my bet is, I know it doesn't make sense, since we know that glucose is the cause of cancer, And we're told not to eat glucose, and we think it's all white sugar, but in fact, every single plant material is essentially sugar that we don't require. And it turns out that sugar causes something called glycation. That's glucose binding to every molecule and cell of our body, which damages it and the mitochondria, which either causes the cells to die or convert to cancer. Now, these are things that I was never taught, and most students in medicine don't even know this. It sounds way too crazy, though, right? Because now we're all touted that being a vegetarian is the healthiest thing in the universe, but maybe not. The one thing we're not eating is fat. And interesting enough, we've learned to infuse fat to reduce inflammation, reduce appetite, reduce glucose, and reduce insulin, because insulin and glucose tend to be the damage-killing and causing molecules in our body. But it doesn't make sense. The interesting part about carbs and protein, they all must go to the liver in order to be converted to fat. And it turns out that the liver is a fat-making machine, and if you can't make fat, you're dead. Anorexics die fast. But when we gain weight, we die slow. But it's not obesity that causes any disease, and I will bet that being overweight is not the cause of any disease. It's what you fill the bucket with. Remember, when you put carbs in your belly, you're making beer. Alcohol, aldehyde, methane gas is deadly. Now, I'm not trying to be a downer here. I'm trying to help you and all of us treat us like a lion and a Ferrari. You don't fill up a Ferrari 3 to 5 times a day and race it around. Where are you putting all the fuel? It's got to go somewhere. The trunk, the back seat, the glove compartment. Does that make any sense? Why would we keep on fueling the human Ferrari and thinking that's good for us? And I'm sure you know that 99% of our existence has been in famine times. And now we're in feasting times. We have every quick stop, every large box store. Can we really, and do we really need that much food available to us each day? And why do we consume it all? Because we're meant to. Because 10,000 years ago, if you came upon the fruit tree and decided, you know what, I'm going to wait until tomorrow, you'd be dead. The opiate receptors, the dopamine receptors, know how to get you fed and reproduced. We're driven only to 2 things. Interesting enough, we are built that we need oxygen, and we can't live more than 3 to 5 minutes without it. Water, we are built to go 3 to 5 days without water. We're drowning our bodies in water, and our enzymes are being diluted. Do you think that's good for us? And I bet not. And we're using a lot of plastic to carry it around. We're meant to go 3 to 5 weeks without food. Can you believe it? And we're taught by modern medicine to eat 3 to 5 times a day, and we're wondering what's wrong with us. It's simple. Carbs are killers. I call them carbocaine. You can eat them because we're meant to. We have the ability to convert them to fat. But our bodies are meant to have a low glucose level, not elevated. And we're all wondering, why do we all have these diseases? It's so simple. And Occam has a saying, Occam's razor. The simple answer is the one, and we don't want to believe it because we have believed something opposite for so long. This doesn't make any sense, and I didn't believe it either until my patients were losing 50, 100 pounds in 3 months, never hungry, diabetes, hypertension, Every disease you know gone, colitis gone. Fermenting beer in the belly with probiotics is pro-bad. The companies who sell them write the stories and we believe it because it sounds so good bacteria, bad bacteria. I mean, really? We buy it hook, line, and sinker, and we go right down to the bottom. But the simple story is we're meant for fasting. We're meant to fast, 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 feast. Not feast, 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 feast. Let me fast overnight and then break my fast in the morning. My God, does that make any sense? The belly is brewing bad stuff. It's only what's in here. Fat does not cause any disease. This is the fuel tank for survival, because if you have a famine and you're not fat, you're dead. Being fat causes not one disease. It's the carbs that are circulating in your body all day and all night that cause glycation and cancer. It's the plant phytochemicals and antigens that cause the immunologic and reactions like latex and a peanut. People will die from a speck of a peanut. When was the last time you saw and heard of someone dying of fatty ribeye steak? It doesn't happen. But I know it doesn't make sense, but by adding fat, cream, butter, eggs, you reduce inflammation, you reduce your appetite, you reduce your glucose levels, and guess what? Your energy is so much better. All the bowel problems go, the skin problems, the joint problems, and believe me, if you're running and running and running and running and running, friction, heat, trauma, damage. We're walkers, not runners. You might love to do it because the dopamine receptors really love it, so when that lion is about to get you, it maybe not hurt so much. Remember, we like to do lots of things, and this doesn't make sense. But when I've seen my patients get pregnant and stay pregnant where before it would never happen because they changed what they put in their mouths and in their minds. Remember, faith is first. And faith is belief. And belief in a different, opposite way is the way we change. And I'm telling you, the hospitals and the pharmaceuticals are getting huge. Do we really need all of that stuff? They're going to find the magic bullet that's going to cure us. Farm to pharma. We're lions and Ferraris, not pigs, nor Yugos. Thank you.